I am still absolutely buzzing about this transfer. I won't even let the fun police take away my excitement for it. I'm not listening, to be fair. If I was to refuse to listen, I would just take my hearing aids out. However, that would add a delay to the video. But Hermansen is having his West Ham medical today ahead of his transfer. £18 million could even be less. Fabrizio Romano is suggesting it's £16.5 million, which would be fantastic. I'm taking the high end here. I'm going with the biggest transfer fee reported, which is 18 million, and still an absolute bargain. However, it's been suggested to me over the last 24 hours, I'm getting a bit too excited. I'm getting carried away that it's only a goalkeeper. Well, if we get Roberto back, would you be okay with that? If the answer is no, we've established you do care about the fact it's a goalkeeper. I think a goalkeeper is hugely important to the way that we want to play under Graham Potter. I don't think we've seen full Potter ball yet because we can't involve Areola. At times we've tried to. At times he's struggled with getting the ball played back to him playing out from the back. We've not even scratched the surface here yet. We are not giving him the ball and say, go on then, hold on to it, invite pressure. We don't do that. He still gets rid of it pretty quickly, and he's struggling even in that regards. Hermansen is going to cause you a heart attack. If you've not seen Hermansen play, he takes risks. Now, I am certain, as much as I am excited about Hermansen, I will concede, well, I say I will, we might, that's the problem, we might concede a couple of goals due to Hermansen playing it out from the back. He is a risk taker. So at the minute, we are not inviting the press much, really, with Areola, because we can't. We will with Hermansen. I think we're going to see another layer of Potter ball. The goalkeeper is crucial for all of Areola's good traits, and he's been a good servant, right? I appreciate I'm sort of dissing him a little bit, but it's more to big up Hermansen, because I think he's much better than Areola. But even his shot stopping, which is his best trait, statistically, and I appreciate not everyone likes statistics and data, but can we agree that Potter and Macaulay do, at least? Statistically, he's one of the worst in the league last season in terms of shot stopping. He was conceding more goals than he should have done in terms of the data side of things. So even his strength isn't actually that good when comparing it to the rest of his peers in the Premier League. This is a significant upgrade. The Fun Police have also pointed out to me that he got relegated, that Leicester conceded 80 goals, which is true. But we signed Lucas Fabianski from Swansea when they got relegated. That transfer was fantastic for us. Fabianski was incredible. Also, Liverpool signed Andy Robertson from Hull City once they got relegated. Would we have turned our nose up at Andy Robertson? Knowing what you know now, would you say, actually, I'm glad we didn't sign Andy Robertson? No, you'd probably say we should have done. Teams getting relegated, it's not a true reflection of the players. And there's a few people that have told me it can't be that good, they've got relegated, are also wanting to see us sign either Fernandes or El Canous. Two players that got relegated. It's not a reflection of Hermansen, who was injured for periods of time during Leicester conceding these 80 goals. Up to his injury last season, he was fantastic. One of the best keepers in the league. Post-injury, and he had a couple, not as good. But if he can get back to his best, we've got an absolute bargain on our hands. I am buzzing. I came into this summer really wanting a goalkeeper, and Hermansen was my number one choice. Most importantly, I believe it's Graham Potter. Well, I think it's Casper Ankrigen's number one choice, and as a result, it's Graham Potter's number one choice. So he's getting who he wants in goal at a very, very good price. I see no issue with this transfer at all. I don't even see one problem. I think there may be a problem further down the line, which is Areola. But the club will be aware of this. They will know he does not like being substitute goalkeeper, and that's for them to deal with at some point. But for now, I am buzzing. However, I do appreciate not everybody is as excited as I am or is as convinced as I am. I also accept very easily that not everybody trusts my opinions when it comes to players, never mind goalkeepers in particular. So I've decided to have a catch-up with Rick, who is a Leicester City fan. If you tuned into my opposition previews last season, not the season before that because they were in the Championship, Then you would have seen me catching up with Rick on a couple of occasions to discuss the match. So I decided to ask him about Hermansen because he's seen Hermansen play every single minute in a Leicester City shirt. And it's not all good. It's not all good. There is a lot of positivity in there in regards to Hermansen. But I also asked him about his weaknesses. And there's two things in particular. One, I did not know about. He's taught me something new, Rick has. Was not aware this is a weakness. Got me a little bit worried. I'm going to go have a little look myself, actually, because I trust Rick. Why would I not? He's seen Hermansen a lot more than I have. And the second one is what I consider to be Hermansen's weakness, which is high claims and crossing. So I ask Rick about that as well. And we have a little bit of fun towards the end of the video. But I enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoy it. And by the end of it, if you're unsure on Hermansen, maybe you might be a little bit more comfortable or excited. Anyway, before I switch over to myself and Rick, this video is sponsored by our new partners, Boyle Sports, and I've got an offer for you, a season-long bet. So when we were talking to Boyle Sports, we said, excuse me, could we have a season-long bet for Hammers Chat subscribers, please? And they said, of course, what do you want? So I've put this bet together myself. We need 4 things to happen. We need West Ham to concede 60 or less goals in the Premier League. Now, under Graham Potter so far, we concede about 1.3 goals per game. So if you multiply that by 38, it comes out at 50. So basically, if we take the form under Graham Potter so far and multiply it over the course of the season, we will concede 50 Premier League goals. So we've gone for 60. Hermansen will help. Hermansen will reduce that, hopefully, a little bit. So I feel like we've gone quite safe with 60, right? Jared Bowen to score 10 or more Premier League goals. Gotta be right. He was doing that playing right wing. He's now striker under Graham Potter. Now, whilst I don't like him in that position, I am willing to concede he's very good at it. Last season, when Bowen returned from injury, Potter was at the club. Between then and the end of the season, only Mo Salah scored or assisted more times in the Premier League than Jared Bowen. So I feel that one's a good one. West Ham to take 2 or more points off Man U next season. It's Man U. And lastly, Super El Hadji Malik Diouf to get 4 or more assists. It's got to be right. Load him up down that left wing. Get those crosses in. Bowen and Fulkrug in the middle. So hopefully every assist, every goal, every clean sheet and a win against Man U, we can all celebrate it. And at the end of the season, hopefully the bet has come in. Now this bet is only available at Boyle Sports and from Hammers Chat as well. It's a Hammers Chat bet. We put this together. Now links in description below, but it's important that you use that link because for new customers, if you join up organically, you go into Boyle Sports, Google it and go onto it, and you deposit £10, you'll get £25 free bets in total. You use our link, you'll get £40 free bets. So you get more free bets by using our link, and you can access that 14-to-1 bet as well. Never told you it was 14-to-1, did I? It was 10-to-1. But Boyle Sports said, that's not good enough. That's not good enough for Hammers Chat subscribers. They've enhanced it to 14-to-1. Now, obviously, please do gamble responsibly, 18 years and over only. Links in description below as well as the terms and conditions. But if you do join us, fingers crossed, we've backed a winner. Now, we're going to be working with Boyle Sports throughout the season. More enhanced odds. We've got an enhanced bet for tomorrow's game against Leo, which I'll tell you about in tomorrow's video. We'll also be doing some giveaways with them as well. So we've got a lot of things planned with Boyle Sports. We're excited by it. So a massive thank you to Boyle Sports for jumping on board. And hopefully, in May, we can all celebrate winning a 14-to-1 that I put together. Right, that's enough from me. Links in description below if you want to get involved. You're way here from myself and Rick, and hopefully you enjoy it. And please be joined again by Rick, who you've seen a couple of times last season. Unfortunately, we won't be seeing him this season, unless we get you in a cup or something. Rick, is it fair to say that you were always expecting to sell Hermansen this summer?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually thought it would probably go through before the end of June because, you know, it's well documented. We've supposedly breached PSR for the previous year to the end of 23-24. I thought we might be in a bit of bother for 24-25 and therefore needed a big sale beforehand. That didn't happen. Whether that means we're safe in that regard or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think it was inevitable Hermansen was going. He's on single sort of biggest asset because unfortunately Abdul Fattawu had got injured last season. He's now come back. I don't know if you saw the goal he scored last weekend. He's insane. But yeah, it was inevitable. And whilst sad about it, I'd made peace with that a while ago that he'd be going because he's, you know, he deserves to play at the highest level.
I'm going to ask you the question that every West Ham fan is possibly wanting to know the answer to. How good is he?
Phenomenal. On the ball, which, you know, for a keeper, it's still hard to get your head around that's like a priority. But his distribution, he's a risk taker. So you will see clips where he's made mistakes. But what you probably don't see is the 95% of where he's just, you know, the marginal gains from what he's been able to turn into a promising attack. So he's so good in that regard, but he's actually a very good shot stopper. I would say he's probably a better shot stopper than he is with the ball at his feet. The one thing that you might find, if you have to pick a fault with him, he's only 6 foot or maybe nearly 6'1". So his weakness, he's probably been beaten from distance. He doesn't get beaten close range. His reflexes and sort of agility is second to none. He does get beaten from range, which I don't know whether he's him or if you watch Leicester in the last year or so, non-existent midfield and defence who gave the opposition all the time in the world to pick their spot. So it's a hard one to sort of balance on, but it'll be interesting to see whether that is something that you pick up on. But no, he's fantastic. I mean, we obviously, you know, 2 years ago, we'd just been relegated again, and we'd basically naively gone into that 22-23 season thinking that Danny Ward was an able replacement for Kasper Schmeichel, who had obviously won it all with us. And he really wasn't. So we got into that window in the summer of 23. Enzo came in and we needed a keeper. And obviously Enzo plays a certain way, a bit like Graham Potter does, because we've been obsessed with Potter at trying to get him at Leicester and he kept rejecting us. And Hermansen turned up from Bromby, and literally within the first game of pre-season, we were blown away by you know what he gave you. And that season we got promoted. It was when we won the league. He was excellent, really, really good. Last season's a harder one because I'm sure your fans are saying, well, Leicester got relegated. They were awful. Well, yeah, but we would have been bottom probably if Hermansen wasn't in goal. In that first half of the season, he then did get an injury and was out for a chunk, came back, then injured again. But have no qualms about this lad's ability. You don't find goalkeepers like him, not for £18 million. Let's have it right. If he was as highly rated as he ought to be, you'd be paying double that, or you ought to be paying double that. Obviously, we're in no great negotiating position with where we are, but you've got a bargain even at 18 million or whatever the price is. You might even be a bit less than that with add-ons. It's mad, but yeah, no, absolute class act.
I was going to ask you about the price. Are you, because we've already established you were expecting him to leave, are you therefore disappointed with the transfer fee?
Yes, I am, because when you look at your best players, you want a price that probably is higher than what they're actually worth, if that makes sense. And that's subjective, but you'd be like, well, he's our best player, we're not selling him. And then you're like, well, we've reluctantly sold him because you're daft enough to pay a stupid fee. That's not happening with Hermansen. We've had to sort of meet in the middle ground. And you've played as a blinder by pretending to get this geezer from Botafogo, putting in bids left, right and centre for players that I don't even think played in goal. But Twitter were reporting that they did play in goal. And our director of football, John Rudkin's not the best at negotiating, to say the least. So, yeah, I think even in being relegated and not being in the strongest position, I still think his market value is somewhere north of 20 million. But except that we needed that sale, I think. And also, I think because we've moved a few others on, and Diddy's gone for 9. Cody, we've managed to get rid of, who was absolutely hideous for us. We're probably like, well, the money that we need, you could say, well, ask for more for Hermansen, or it might be we've got collectively enough now to perhaps do what we need to do, so that, you know, get a sell-on clause maybe in the deal. I don't know if that's it. We don't tend to do that, annoyingly, but yeah. So disappointed, because I think you've got a keeper there that you could probably flip for 30, 35 million just by him walking through your training ground and playing a couple of games. But you won't do that. You know, if he does ever leave you, I wouldn't be surprised if it's, you know, for a massive, massive fee. So, yeah, I think you've really got a good one there.
In terms of his weaknesses, you spoke about his height there. What's he
Yeah.
like at commanding his box / claiming high balls and crosses?
So this is another thing that some of our fans have said is not his strong point. He's a lot better at that than Kasper Schmeichel was. That was Schmeichel's weakness. So I measure him against that. And that first season that we had him in after, Schmeichel going and then being subjected to Danny Ward, I actually think he's competent at that. It's not his strong point, but his agility and reflexes, I think they make up for that in a way. And he does come and claim crosses, but he won't do it, above all else, like some keepers will come steaming out, won't they? Punch people in the back of the head. Sometimes you think, why have you done that? But he's a bit more careful and considered in that regard. But he isn't rooted to his spot. And you're like, oh God, just, getting set pieces blasted past your left, right and centre because the keepers, it's a bit more nuanced than that. I mean, set pieces has been a bit of a weakness of ours last season in the Premier League, but isn't it everyone's weakness in the Premier League when you in the relegation, you're shipping goals from all angles. So it's not. I wouldn't say it's. I suppose if you were going to say, right, what are his two weaknesses? I'd say being beaten from distance. He conceded a number of goals in that regard, and coming to claim that. What I personally, I might be wrong, but I never found it to be a major issue. I was always confident that he would marshal the box well. I'll more blame some of our other players around him.
Right, I'm going to park Hermansen for a minute, and then we're going to come back to him at the end of the video with a little bit of fun. But before that, I've got a couple of questions that are... First one's about Leicester City. How are you feeling going into the new season?
Could be anything, mate. I've got over the disdain of last season, and basically it was just a carry on from the negligence that's happened at Leicester to go from where we were to where we are. So I probably got over it a bit easier because it's just happened again. You get the green shoots of excitement in any season, and knowing how crap the Championship really is, because how crap we were in the Premier League last season and yet the season before. So I might naively be in for a shock that we won't be as strong. I don't think we will be, even though we've got the majority of that same squad that did win the league. Delighted for Tawu's back. I'm excited about him. We have played the long game with our, decade of success as being probably the best club in the Midlands. We've built this training ground. We've built this academy. And we've got some real talent coming through. I don't know if you've heard of Jeremy Monger. I mean, he was in our team at 15 at the back end of last season. So you can't put too much pressure on him. But he's just turned 16. He's fearless. So it's players like that even if we struggle, I'm fed up of the Samares, the Vestigars, the Winks, the Wout Fez, that are taking all this money. Get rid of them. And if you can't get rid of them, don't play them. They're all leaving on a free next summer when their contract ends. Play these younger players like Monger, Jake Evans, Louis Page. We've got 6 or 7 of them coming through. And okay, if we keep losing, that'll soon wear off. But at least you can identify with that a little bit, can't you? So I'm fairly pleased with the new manager, Cifuentes. Obviously, he could only do so much at QPR, but very much like Danny Rawle at Sheffield Wednesday, who had more hype about him. Similar job. Came in, they were in the bottom 2, car crash of a club, kept them up, playing aggressive, high-pressing football. So he's got a track record in Scandinavia at his other clubs. So, and he's got a track record at bringing through youngsters. So, I don't know. There's a little bit of... I mean, you obviously haven't been in the Championship for a long, long time, and you won't want to be. But you know what it's like. Like if you're not in there for years, it can be a bit of a breath of fresh air for a bit.
It's fun. We've obviously been in a couple of relegation battles recent seasons, and going back when we first got promoted, we've had a few relegation battles, but not gone through the trap door. And I think I get to a point in the season where I'm a bit like, if it happens, it happens. We've got new grounds to go to. There's no VAR. It's more enjoyable. I think the product of the Championship is arguably more enjoyable than what the Premier League's offering up to some extent. And also, you go from losing every week to winning every week. So it's happier, right?
That's it. You do. And whilst, thinking about it, you think, yeah, but a win at the Championship level is not the same as a win in the Premier League. And yeah, maybe not. But at the end of the day, they make or break your weekends. We're simple human beings that, follow our football club that no rational person would do, but we do that. So, if it takes care of the weekend, you're happy, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you get more games in the Championship. So again, if you've been the pits, you've only got 3 or 4 days before the next one, and hopefully then you turn it around. But yeah, we'll see. It'll be what it'll be. It gives me something to moan about.
You can market it like our lot did when we got relegated. They kept the season ticket prices the same and said, "Yeah, but you get more games now."
Yeah, more pain and anguish.
Yeah. So they didn't reduce the prices, but you get more games for the same amount of money. El Canus, we're still being linked to him.
Yeah.
Now and again, it sort of comes along, then goes away, and comes along, goes away. His release clause has expired now, I believe. Is that accurate? Is it not quite yet?
So we were under the impression there was no release clause, but then it's been pretty much confirmed now that it is. There is one, and that it expires on the 15th. So no, there's still nearly a week left. So, and it's fairly low. I mean, we paid 20 million for him last summer, and alarm bells are ringing a little bit when he signed because it was only a 4-year deal. So usually, when you're paying that sort of money and they're 20, 21 years old, it's 5-year deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the fact it was 4 was like, there's obviously been some tough negotiations there. He perhaps didn't want, yeah. So I imagine as well, it was like, well, we were desperate to get him, but we'll put a modest release clause in if we do get relegated.
Yeah.
And somewhere around, I think it's 23, 24 mil. It's not a lot. So not a big profit. But again, he's a good player. He's a really good player. He's probably more of an 8 than a 10. He's very creative, but his end product at the minute is, well, goals-wise, he's not a great goal scorer. Funnily enough, the 2 teams he's linked with, he scored against last season, you boys and Spurs. They were his 2 league goals, I think. He may have got one other. But he's a great player. He's very easy on the eye. And I think he wouldn't be surprised if he is a double figures in goals, double figures in assist type player in a year or 2. It's not that he can't do that. He's just not doing that at the minute. For that price, depending on if that's a priority of yours, it's probably a no-brainer.
It is.
I'd be sad to lose him, though, because I think he's one of those, if we could just keep him for a year, he probably in the Championship would be ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think you've seen the best of him yet. He's clearly a lad with a lot of ability and potential, and I think he was just really restricted and shackled by having Van Nistelrooy as a manager. I think...
Yeah, agreed.
I think he was a big problem as to why Alcanus perhaps didn't look as good as he could have been. Although saying that, he still didn't look bad. He just looked good in a bad team. But I think he could have looked a lot better. Right, we're going to finish it up with a little bit of fun. First of all, if you were to rate the Hermansen deal, let's just say it was 18 million to West Ham out of 10. If you were a West Ham fan, what would you give it?
Well, it's part 9, maybe. I won't give 10 because obviously that's ridiculous. But it's 9 based on the price and the ability of the goalkeeper. I mean, we were delighted when we paid 5 million for him. You'll be delighted that you've only paid 18 million for him or less, whatever it is. So you should be genuinely buzzing about that. I know fans like to see value for money even before a player's kicked a ball. Really, it makes no difference if they're then good. You could get them on a free. If they're crap, they're crap. Yeah. So it's a strong 9.
Right then. Now we're going to play Hermansen, or I'm going to give you a goalkeeper's name and you tell me which one you would prefer, Hermansen or this goalkeeper. Okay. Aaron Ramsdale.
Hermansen.
Kelleher.
Hermansen.
James Trafford.
Maybe just Hermansen, being biased, but Trafford's good.
Yeah. Dean Henderson.
Hermansen.
Jordan Pickford.
Hermansen.
Wow. Okay, and here's the big one. Prime Kasper Schmeichel.
Schmeichel. Just. You can't, yeah.
I knew you'd get with that one.
Yeah. But I mean, the Hermansen's got a few better qualities than Schmeichel, and the one that you asked me about that's a supposed weakness, Hermansen's head and shoulders above him in commanding his box and coming out and claiming the ball and ball at his feet. Schmeichel was competent, But Hermansen's, he can play as a sweeper at times and possibly will do under Potter. And he's just a lovely bloke as well. I know that counts for very little on the pitch, but you will quickly like resonate with him. And to be fair, we should have known him and his wife or partner and their dog were always like sitting outside cafes in London. So he used to go there a lot throughout his 2 years here, and whether he's, since he's been here wanting to move to London, but he's just a nice bloke. He's not on social media being a helmet like some of the players we know and love stroke hate. But yeah, he's just a lovely, lovely bloke. And I'd be amazed if he's not a success for you.
His missus doesn't sell news to the tabloids, does she?
She does not. Not like our greatest of all time, allegedly.
Rick, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I would say you've got me more excited, but you haven't. But that's only because I rate Hermansen really highly, and you basically just confirmed what I thought anyway. But hopefully, for some West Ham fans, they're feeling a bit more confident, even more excited and optimistic for this one. It's interesting what you say about him being likable, because I think Potter's very big on having that squad harmony, and over the summer it's looked like they're having fun and getting on and stuff, and it does feel like a happier camp at West Ham at the moment. And I think Potter's spoken about getting, I remember he said something like, it's easy to buy a player, it's easy, we can buy a player tomorrow if we want, it's no problem, easy, but getting the right player and the right person, that's difficult. So what you've just said there is quite, well, you made me think of that. I thought, okay, right, this makes sense. And also I don't know if you're aware of this, but we've just hired as a goalkeeper coach Casper Ankergen, who worked with him at Bromby. So
I was going,
exactly.
It does, the due diligence and planning is there, and I think it takes people that know him to realise just how good he is. As I say, I think he's really underrated. How we got him, I'm not sure. It'll be something that Enzo will have unearthed. But yeah, no, I think, we saw it with some of our players in the past and other clubs. Like, how did they end up unearthing that player and nobody else did? And I think it's the same with Hermansen. And again, the one reason why he's probably not, weirdly, he's not yet got a cap for Denmark. He's been in every squad since we've signed him for 2 years. And the manager has not once given him a friendly. I don't know what, and that's not on him. That'll be on the manager. But again, that's another reason why you've got a player that's like, you've got him on the snip. He needs to make sure he don't get injured. He's had a couple of injuries at Leicester. But I know goalies don't tend to get injured as much as outfield players, but it still happens. But he's not. Yeah, I don't think that's a concern. I think it was just, unfortunate circumstances. But no, I'm sad to see him go. I really am. But he goes with my best wishes because he's a class act.
Rick, thank you so much. Best of luck to Leicester this season. You, as a fan base, I think you've been through, well, you've had your good times. But I think recently you've been through a bit of hell with your owners and the running of the club. So I genuinely wish you the best of luck. But you guys at home have enjoyed the video. Please do drop a like, comment, subscribe, and Hammers chat. And if you'd like to hear and see more from Rick, I'll put all the links to his profile as well as a podcast in the description below. And I'll catch you in a bit.